The story begins with the Zhang family. Xia is a devoted family to raising butlers. The protagonist Xia Yu Shang, age 21, has lived in a butler's training camp from a young age. He does self-training every single day, running 50 kilometers. Push-ups 5,000, Aikido core exercises and many more. According to tradition, the descendants of his family will always become butlers for the Zhang Zheng family, and as such, they will always receive special training. Earlier a letter arrived from the Zhang Zheng family for him to become a butler. His friends congratulate him, and he feels a sense of achievement. Finally he will leave and become a true butler. All for the sake of that day when he will be able to protect her smile. The smile that gave his old dull and grey world hope and brightness. He hopes that he will be able to meet her again. He's astonished by the city. Not long ago he came there, but now it has changed drastically. As he stares at the beautiful place, he accidentally bumps into a guy and spilled coffee on him. He hurriedly apologizes and the guy tells him it's okay. Suddenly a girl interrupted them, stating that he's only an AI butler and he doesn't have to be polite. Unknown to her, he is actually human. In today's advanced society, not many people want human butlers. Only the Zhang Zheng family and a few others have human butlers. However, the Zhang Zheng family is the main producers of AI butlers. Later on he arrives at his destination, Shengye Prestige High School dormitories. Each room has a size of 2,000 square meter, a personal closet, student rooms on a restrooms. Dormitories contain a communal gym, swimming pool, dining hall, garden. However, one blonde beautiful blue eyes girl thinks that this place is cheap. At that moment Shang arrives and inquires if she is Miss Tong. She responds that she wants him to help her get dressed. He is taken aback. Seeing his stunned expression, she inquires if he is an idiot. He's surprised that he's helping her change and they've only just met. He thinks she has a very fierce personality. As he begins, she inquires what serial model he is. He's surprised and informs her of his name. She then grabs his hand and pulls up his sleeve. She checks behind his neck. He becomes flustered and then she rips his shirt off. This is a very eventful first day. She's confused to why he doesn't have an AI serial number, which is usually located on the arm, back or chest. His letter falls from his pocket and she reads it. After a few moments her face becomes red, as she realizes that he's not AI but an incredibly new butler. At that moment she slapped him in his face, almost causing him to lose consciousness, and pushes him outside, telling him to get out. She slams the door in his face and he wonders what he will do now. Later on she becomes furious. She has no plans to let him become her butler. But surprisingly she doesn't know how to unbutton her shirt. Since she's been taken care of by a butler from a young age, she has zero life skills. She decided to call her father to inform him about what happened with the butler. Her personal assistant Mia appears. She attempts to tell it to call her father, but hesitate. She walks away thinking that he wouldn't care about it, because her father despises her. Meanwhile the butler is outside pondering a way to resolve the situation. Suddenly loud noises are heard from behind the door. She abruptly opened the door with an annoyed expression. She is in a disheveled state. He panics and inquires why she's dressed like that. She responds that it's none of his business. He removed his jacket like a true gentleman and covers her up. With incredible charm he tells her that she will catch a cold with what she's wearing. He requests that she allows him to fix her attire. She informs him that no matter what he does, she won't let him become her butler. Suddenly her stomach lets out a loud growl and she becomes embarrassed. She immediately agrees to allow him to be her butler. She orders him to make her breakfast, but since there is still a while before school starts, there's no one on campus, meaning no backup ingredients. She asked if there is a problem. He tells her that he's absolutely fine. She smiles and thinks that he should hurry and leave. As he prepares the breakfast, she stares intently at him. He makes her sit to enjoy the breakfast. He made bread pudding and onion soup. She can't believe that the delicious-looking meal was made from old dried-up ingredients. Even the flavor of it was delectable. Noticing breadcrumbs in her cheeks, he gently wiped it off, which stuns her for a moment. She then exclaimed that he shouldn't do such unnecessary things. He apologizes and she states that usually there's only AI with her and they only prepare her meal. He comes to the conclusion that she has only been living with AI. No warm environment, so she's not even comfortable eating around others. She's lived a very lonely life. He wonders if he will be able to make her smile. The next day she orders him to prepare the car, as they will be buying new household items. Because the dormitory is too shabby for her taste, her school prepares each student with an exclusive car for more convenient traveling purposes. When they arrive at their destination, he grabs her hand and helps her out of the car. She informs the AI that they plan and purchasing dormitory items. She buys a bed, she buys plates, without a second thought. Xiang is impressed by her efficient buying skills. She believes it's necessary for someone of her family. Later on he carries everything on. The people think that he's extremely strong. Suddenly he stops abruptly. She smirks and inquires if he sprained his back. Unknown to her he senses that someone is following them. Afterwards they browsed a couple more shops for the next few hours. Suddenly he noticed that her shoelace is untied. He kneels down to tie it. She steps on his knee boldly. She believes that he won't be able to take the humiliation much longer. However, he modestly states that he has already tied it. She turns away curious to what's happening. Usually people leave when she acts bothersome. People usually come because of the money and power her family holds. She believes he can't be any different from them. Afterwards they realized that they're carrying too many things, so they had to put everything away in the car before shopping for more. Xiang senses something and with fast reflexes he pulled his mistress away. He presses her against the wall and she inquires why he brought her there. He whispers in her ears for her to be silent for the time being. She doesn't know what kind of game he is playing or what his motive is. She's experienced many betrayals before, but she still trusted him. She bites his arm. She has come to the conclusion that he wants to take advantage of her since her family is rich. After all, he's only human. He tried to convince her that he doesn't want to do anything to her. Suddenly a man appears and Xiang blocked him from approaching her. He grabs the guy's arm and in an instant brings him to his knees. The guy tells him to let him go. He explains that he simply had an emergency and wished to borrow a small amount of money. He explains that he devoted 25 years of his life to their company. He never got promoted and eventually his wife took the children and left because he couldn't spend time with them. So he wished for her family to lose something precious and feel the pain he lost. She steps forward and states that she will definitely make the company compensate him. She smiled brightly, then her face turns cold. She reveals that he used the company's funds and now he wishes to negotiate. She tells him not to come there with excuses. He pulls out a knife and rushes towards her. She closes her eyes preparing for impact. However, her loyal butler protects her. His arm is injured. She inquires if he's crazy. He smiles and asks if she's worried about him. She blushes and the guy thinks that he's watching a romance movie. Zhang abruptly lifts her up. He informed her that what he's going to do next will be dangerous, so she should hide. He places her in a cupboard. He informs her that he doesn't want her to get hurt, and requests that she let him protect her. She can't fathom why he's so gentle with her. And this guy can't believe he just watched them like an idiot. I can't blame him, I probably would have done the same thing. With crazy eyes, Zhang exclaims that his dirty, disgusting hands almost touched her. He grabbed the guy's hand and states that if it's his mistress's orders or a matter of her safety, then he will always be at her beck and call. The guy tells him to let him go. The guy realizes that he has no intention of doing that. So he begins to throw punches, but each punch is blocked, dodged and none connected. Then suddenly Zhang punches him in the kidney. Then throws him on the ground. Zhang uses his smartwatch to call the police. 3 hours later he is arrested by the police. His injuries have been dressed and is now good to go. He turns and noticed his mistress. She's calm and collected. But she was frightened just a moment ago. He feels like his mistress has been forcing herself to be strong. Earlier when he let her out of the closet she had teary eyes. Because she was scared of the dark, he took his jacket and covered her head. He got on his knees and told her starting that day his everything. His life, it's all hers. He can't forget her small body trembling in the shed. Later on his mistress orders a lot of desserts. He takes this opportunity to inquire if she usually meets in such incident on a regular basis. She reveals that it's true, Ever since she was at a young age she was in various incidents, but it was the first time someone threatened her with a knife. It's all because of her family's prestige and standing. She's already lost count of how many times she's been abducted and threatened. No one can be trusted, neither friend nor family. Her dessert arrives and she digs in. Xiang thinks she's cute. He noticed something on her face and attempts to wipe it away. But she slaps his injured hand away. In the next scene we see her swimming in the pool. She thinks Xiang looks like someone from another world when she sees him from a certain angle. Because of his intrusion on her life, her view of the world has completely changed. She comes out of the pool and he noticed that her perfect figure is showing. All the boys blush. Damn, it was perfect, so perfect that I'm not going to show it. He immediately covers her, although she's more mature than people her age. Her awareness of her own safety is lacking. Meanwhile she's confused. No matter how she treats him, he doesn't show any signs of anger or hatred. Earlier she showed him his new room, which was gloomy and plain. She thought he would definitely not accept such a shabby room. But he simply thanked her with teary eyes. It's his first time having his own room. Before he used to live in the center of the training dorm. She gives him gloves, thinking that he would get the hint that she doesn't like him and run away crying like a baby. This is the most diabolical plan I ever heard. However, he cries, stating that he's grateful towards her for giving him his first present from her. He announces that he'll definitely treasure them. To her, he's not only hard to understand, he's also difficult to deal with. He informs her, tea is ready, and she snaps back to reality. Something catches his attention and he leans in close. Her heart starts beating fast and she closes her eyes. He then rubs her hair back. She berates herself for expecting something more. She tells him that she doesn't understand why he enjoys being a butler so much. He tells her the story of how he met someone who he really wanted to protect. She was someone who used her smile to light up his world. He couldn't hide the joy in his eyes when he spoke about that person. From the start, his warmness wasn't directed towards her. At this moment her heart started to hurt. She then kicks him in the pool.
This is Sparta!
Obviously hurt by this shallow guy. 10 seconds later he's underwater. 15 seconds later she gets nervous. He's still underwater. 20 seconds later he's floating. He can't swim. He loses his consciousness and we get a flashback of 3-year-old him. He's in a car and they're close to reaching the seaside. He is in wonder of its beauty. His brother teases him about sea monsters. At that moment a drunk driver is driving a truck. Tire screech. He loses consciousness and is awoken by his brother. They're underwater. His brother tells him that they have to get out. He inquires if it was a sea monster. With teary eyes his brother forces a smile and exclaims that he's right. But his brother wants him to promise that he won't look around. In order to protect him, his brother lied to him. His brother told him to hold his breath. And they swam up to the surface. Sometime later a funeral is held for their parents. Family members who attended the funeral murmured to each other about the kids. Younger him only knew that his parents were gone. He thought that they were eaten by sea monsters, but nobody had the heart to tell him the truth. His brother got on his knee and stated that he will protect him. He was only 14, but he put on a brave smile and stated that he is an adult. Later on Xiang is being taunted by 2 boys his age. They tell him that he's scared to get in the pool. He gets angry and gets in. Moments later we see him waking up from bed. His brother informed him that after he went in the pool he immediately fainted. He was in the middle of his butler duties, but fortunately his master didn't mind. His brother assures him that it's okay to be scared of water because he's also afraid. But he needs to protect his family and his master, so even if there are things he's afraid of he will bravely face them head-on. Xiang tells him that he wants to be a butler when he grows up. His brother rubs his head and said that he definitely can. But since he caused such a mess his brother decided to punish him with tickle attack. He had hoped that his brother would one day see him become a butler. But one day his teachers gave him a blank look and told him to answer the phone. With a smile he answered the phone thinking it's his brother. His teacher covers her eyes. The person on the other line tells him to immediately come to the hospital. His brother was involved in an accident and was seriously injured and went to the afterlife. In the next scene we see him holding his brother's hand. Suddenly his brother disappears, he searches for him but he's surrounded by a sea of people. He sinks into a whirlpool calling his brother's name. Suddenly he wakes up from his dream, he goes downstairs and sees his auntie cooking. He inquires if his brother is at work, his auntie asked if he's okay. His words are scaring her, she hugs him, his brother has passed away but it feels so surreal. He was only 20 when he left that world. He sobs and wonders why his brother had to leave him as well. To leave him sinking in the water alone for him to slowly suffocate. In the never-ending darkness, he wonders how he'll continue and what's even the point. Suddenly someone grabs his face and firmly lifts his head. She states he should continue living as a prince who will protect his princess. They become silent for a moment, she repeats what she says but he becomes so angry that he breaks the fourth wall. She inquires if she's not a super amazing princess. The thought that she picked him to become her prince should be an honor. He is indifferent to her and tells her to not mess around. With a bit of sadness in her voice she reveals that her mother also flew to heaven to a far, far away place. Her father said it was because she's too dumb and that she forced her mother away. She exclaims that she'll work hard, and become the best princess. Then bring her mother back, if he works with her she will also bring his brother back. She reaches out her pinky and states that she's someone who doesn't break her promises. He reaches out his hand and intertwined it in hers, he looks deeply in her eyes and promises her. She thinks he's just like a real prince, at that moment he knew what to protect. He needs to protect her happy smile as well as his master. Just like his brother and how he tried his best to protect those who were precious to him. He doesn't know, and this narrator doesn't know as to how her smile made his gray world to become adorned with colors. An AI servant then informs her that her lunch is ready. She walks away with the AI and informed the AI that she's found herself a prince. His aunt arrives and informed him that girl is a member of Zhang Zheng family. He wonders if he'll ever have the chance to become her butler. Meanwhile Tong wonders if it's a joke that her butler can't swim. She panics wondering what she should do. Suddenly she removes her shirt and jumps into the sea like a mermaid. She takes a hold of him and brings him to the surface calling for help. An AI lifeguard assisted to take him out of the water. However he has lost consciousness and is not breathing. She nervously comes out of the pool, as the AI does CPR. With a frightened expression she prays that nothing happens to him. But a while has passed and he has yet to regain consciousness. She orders him to get up, she then pushes the AI robot away. She begins to administer CPR, as their lips are inches away. Then centimeters away just about to touch, he ruins it by waking up. She asks if he's okay, he slowly opens his eyes in a daze. But who does he see is Princess, he holds her cheeks and slowly pulls her in for a kiss. But to my shock he actually does it, he kisses her. Her face turns red, she pushes him away and begins to ridicule him. Suddenly he grabs her again and goes for another kiss. This is the greatest man of all time. I got to say he has given me exactly what I wanted to see. I'm satisfied. She escaped his vicious grip and inquires what he thinks he's doing. He exclaims petals. The robot assistant explains that he has not yet fully recovered consciousness. The AI explains he was merely showing symptoms of semi-consciousness. The AI assures her, she doesn't have to worry about her boyfriend. She blushes and exclaims that he's not her boyfriend. She's flustered and announced, she wants back her precious first kiss. The AI robot exclaims her high blood pressure is caused by her shyness. She sits by herself and thinks about their kiss. When he kissed her she was thinking about the person he told her about before. Currently Shang cheeks hurt because he was hit by Tong. Later on he contemplates what had happened in the drowning incident. She's been avoiding him ever since she woke up, she's been acting that way for the entire day. He thinks that she sees him as a coward so she's avoiding him. Every time she sees him it seems that she loses her mind. He's perfect emerald eyes, his chiseled nose, his beautiful smile. Gave her such a perfect kiss. Twice, she gently touches her lips and thinks that it doesn't count as a first kiss, more like being bitten by a dog. She stares at his awesome swag and his great posture. Suddenly her ballet teacher inquires who is that ultra-hot guy. He inquires if he's her boyfriend. Her teacher exclaims that the market sells handsome AI butlers. She explains that he is human. He grumbles to himself that he is handsome but he's merely a butler. He comes to the conclusion that he's single. Someone with that face and that body is a crime. I agree, but he doesn't have a girlfriend, so that means he's the one that he's been searching for the entire time. He twirls towards and grabs his arm. Becoming angry, she exclaims that if he doesn't teach her, she'll fire him. Moments later, he watches her practicing and thinks that she's amazing. Sometimes she gives off a distant vibe, seemingly untouchable. She's so beautiful that she gives off a shiny aura. In the night, he cleans the entire room. Noticing that the light in his mistress' room is still on, he enters. He sees her fast asleep. He believes a ballet lesson has tired her out. But he was shocked when he saw her schedule when he first met her. He thought she was just a strong, rich mistress. However, in order to be a capable heir, she's been working hard quietly. He lifts her up and comment that her body is light. But she's burdened with such heavy responsibilities, so he'll work harder to become a butler that's qualified enough to stand by her. In the next scene, an AI robot inquires if her master isn't going to sleep. A guy has two girls around his shoulder. He gets up and informs the girls that he's going to bed and they should leave. The girls begs him to stay, but he informs them that the person that's going on stage tomorrow is 100 times more important than all of them combined. It's sunrise and Tong wakes up to the smell of bacon. She gets up and rolls out of bed. He tells her that her clothes are hung in the room. But she's learned how to wear them herself. He compliments her uniform. He then brushes her hair. He inquires why she's responsible for the opening ceremony speech. She explains that as long as they're ranked first in the whole school, anyone can do the opening speech. He praises her. Suddenly he brushes a strand of hair back and she wonders why he's so close. He tells her that she almost ate a strand of hair. Her face becomes red. She explains that he will not come any closer from that day on because if he does, then she will be troubled. It's too embarrassing since she was overthinking about it. He becomes gloomy and wonders if she doesn't approve or if she hates him. They arrive at the prestigious high school. The students gossip that she only reached first because of her money. The school is put into faction, first and second students faction. First students' backgrounds are more wealthy and more powerful than the backgrounds of second students. First students are allowed to bring servants to school. She ordered her butler to not pay attention to their gibberish. Because there are some people who just don't have the capability. Just because they can't do it themselves, they think other people also can't do it. At the opening ceremony, Shang noticed that she's nervous. So he swings back and forth with a goofy face, telling her to do her best. She begins to laugh. They call on the top performing student from last year. She walks towards the podium but first inquires if he could tell that she's nervous. But thanks to the weird face that he did, she feels a lot better. She gives off a majestic presence as if she's running for a president. As she's leaving the podium, a white hair guy grabs her waist and kisses her on the cheeks. To everyone's astonishment, the guy exclaims that nothing has changed, she's still as small and delicate as ever. She tells him not to touch her. He suggests they grab lunch. But she refuses. He pulls her even closer and informed that this kiss won't be on the cheeks. He whispers in her ear if he should do it in front of everyone. She tells him to stop joking. At that moment, Shang's sanity snapped. He pulls away his mistress and blocks the guy's path. He tells the guy not to touch his mistress with his dirty hands. And he has the guts to kiss his girl. I mean his mistress. It's a love triangle. Yuhai states that he is his mistress's fiancé. He rubs his neck on state that he should greet him properly. If he doesn't believe him, he should ask his mistress. He remembers it's normal for the mistress to have a fiancé, giving her status. Because of that reason, he wavered momentarily. At that moment, Yuhai's AI butler prepares to take out the enemy. Yuhai tells her that he's just joking around, but it's too late. She's already began swinging punches. But Shang is dodging them effortlessly to my surprise. She's a battle-type AI. She jumps in the air and states that resistance is useless. She descends with a flying kick, but he dodges. She slides back, then increases her attack level to match his strength. Shang tells her it will be dangerous if they fight there. But she turns a blind eye and charges head first. He blocked her strikes, but she repeatedly keeps on punching. She goes in for another attack. He dodges, but her punch is going towards Tong. Shang grabs her and drags her out of the way, but the AI still does not stop. She charges another punch, but Yuhai grabs her hand and says that he was only joking. The AI states that he had said he was hurt. Shang inquires why he hadn't stopped her earlier, because if he accidentally got hit by Sasha it'll be super painful. Sasha adds his speech to her records. She thanks him for his guidance. Tong pulls his sleeve on, inquires if he's okay. Normally AI butlers are designed to not attack humans, meaning he use a lot of money to buy an unlocked version. He pats her on the head and says that he's grateful that she's concerned about him. The crowd begins to disperse. A girl bumps into a guy and he becomes angry. Tong's cousin Naya apologizes. The guy is struck by her beauty and apologizes instead. The students praise her, saying she's beautiful as if she's healing their hearts. She's refreshing and easily approachable beauty. They wonder why there's such a large difference between her and her cousin. Tong is like ice. She's too arrogant to let anyone come close, practically inapproachable, and the contrary, her cousin is class 1 student. But she's modest and gentle, she's like an angel. Naya glanced at her cousin and noticed Yuhai deep in thought. She approaches Yuhai and inquires how Tong calls such a commotion. She hooks her arm around Yuhai. The others think, you know what, who cares about what they think? Furthermore, because the Zhang family is involved, the principal has no clue how to resolve it. Naya comments if she knows how she has tarnished their reputation. Tong walks over to the principal and apologizes. He tells her it's okay. She explains if he wishes to punish her it's okay to do so. Meanwhile, Yuhai and Shang have a friendly rivalry. Sometime later, Shang inquires if she's being forced into marriage. She laughs and inquires if protecting her mental well-being is a part of his job. She tells him it's nothing, then comments that her future is worth so much yet so little at the same time. Sadly, this is the extent to how much her father cares about her. Shang inquires if she is feeling sick. She said she is tired from the encounter from earlier but feels that something else might happen. We see a group of students talking about how they recorded her apologizing and that she looked inferior in front of the headmaster. She hears everything, but she tells her Shang to not worry about her. She's already used to these kinds of things because of her background. She grew up with these kinds of people and words. Furthermore, she doesn't want to harm or ponder to those cowardly people just because of some gossip. He pats her on the head and states that she's such an unexpectedly strong girl. It would be such a pity for her to not receive proper praise, so he couldn't help but pat her head. But she proudly admits that she's pretty strong. The students think about uploading it. She enters the room and they are all shocked. They begin to suck up to her like leeches. The behavior of these people angered him, and it sure did anger me too. It was only when he stepped into the world Mistress Tong grew up. Did he truly realize why her speech were always so cold? She ignores all of them. She goes to her seat and notices a box. She opened it and is terrified. Inside is a creepy note and a creepy doll. They are both stunned. She orders Shang to get rid of it immediately. He hopes that it's just a prank. Something doesn't feel right to him though. She turns around and asks if they saw who did it or if it was one of them. A person states that she was the first to arrive and the box was there when she arrived. Suddenly someone touches her on the shoulder. She begins to scream, telling him to let her go. He tells her to relax and she realizes who it is. He inquired if something happened. She lowers her gaze and tells him that it's nothing. He knows that she's lying by her expression alone. He notices the box and inquires what's inside. She blocks it and states that it's nothing. He becomes suspicious. He blocks her, then opens the box. He is shocked. He grabs her arm and tells her to go with him. However, our butler blocks his way. He states that he's going to bring her to the staff room. The butler requests to go as well. She then tells him to let her go. He turned around and inquires if she had intended to hide this from him. She states that it's not a big deal. He leans into her shoulder and begs her to relieve on him for once.